Maneskin. It's been a while. I'm sure they're just as demure as ever. Let's go! Hello wonderful humans of the internet, how are we? My name is Sam Scott-Thorne and I am a vocal coach based in Glasgow. Now if you'd like to meet and explore your voice a little more, you can find me on sstvocals.com. You can also find me on Patreon and various other social media platforms, and I'll put the handles down below and over there. Over there. That looks like a reflection on the door through the little camera thing, but it's a tiny flower. Non-relevant. Anyway, now if you'd like to consider becoming a patron, you have access to things like early release of reactions, you can fast track reactions, become a reaction, there's special roles on my Discord server, and you have access to all sorts of bonus content like my Vocal Anatomy 101 series where you find out how the voice works. So consider becoming a patron and help shape my channel. Okay, we're gonna go and listen to some more Maneskin. It's been a long time since I listened to Maneskin. So this is The Loneliest and it is live in Paris, France. So, let's just go and see what we think.
Okay, now the moment you've all been waiting for.
Like 2 seconds in, his speaking voice sounds like a singing voice. That rasp comes through even when he's speaking. Ah, it's nice. I don't think I've heard him speak much.
And if you were not waiting for that, you're in the wrong place. So, give a shit. Now we're gonna play, for the first time here in France, exactly, le plus seul, the loneliest.
Lovely start here. Very, very gentle, very aspirate. That's more air coming through the folds than normal. Ah, 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 ah. It's just a lighter touch. I don't know where the song's going to go, but it's really, really good to start smaller than you are intending to go so that your song has a bit of a build. A bit of sound engineers hate that he cups the mic like that. The idea from a stage point of view is that you're cupping and you're getting more intimate, but you can actually create like a feedback by covering a microphone like that. So if you are starting out and you want to get the sound guys on your side, don't cup the mic like that. But when you're in a massive rock band, you can do whatever you want.
You're still the oxygen I breathe. I see your face when I close my eyes. It's torture. Tonight is gonna be the loneliest. It's a few lines that I wrote in case you died. That's what I want. That's what I want.
Okay, we're getting a little bit more rasp coming through that kind of sound. It is, I assume, like a very light arytenoid rattle or arytenoid rattle, however you pronounce it. Those are basically the pieces of cartilage that open and close your vocal folds, and if you rattle them, you get a kind of sound. It can feel quite tickly as you're doing it. What he's doing is taking quite a nasal kind of sound and adding that grit on top. It sounds horrendous when I do it because I'm just isolating the sound, but when you mix it lovingly into your vocal, it sounds very, very cool, as you can hear there. Lovely. Beautiful.
So don't be sad when I'll be gone. There's just one thing I hope you know. I'll love you so. 'Cause I don't even care about the time I've got left. You're the only thing I know now is that I wanna spend it with you. Nobody else here. Tonight is gonna be the loneliest.
He is really changing up the tonal quality of his voice. There's a lot of this nasal push, kind of in there. That's all to do with your velum, essentially. Think of it like the gateway to your nasal passage. If you say sing, what's happening is you're closing off the access for the air to escape through your mouth, and only your nose is channeling that sound. Sing, That's why it would shut off if you pinch your nose. He's kind of got a little bit off from full closure, but it's very, very slight. It's got so much nasality through it, but it's gorgeous. Add in that rasp and you get such a unique sound. But then he's not afraid to lift that off and get into that aspirate place again. But he's doing everything in such a slight kind of way that it all feels very connected. There's no like clunking in between all these qualities. He's very, very good at just like slightly moving from one to the other, like layering. It's really nice. Everything is a very dropped kind of place. Loneliest. He's getting as much resonance out of that as he can. You can see he's holding on to some of these more closed off sounds like my, and he's holding the M for as long as possible, because if you were to try and brighten all of that up, it would just be a little bit too harsh. Probably encourage a raising of your larynx as well, which would kind of close off the space in the back. So he's really, really worked out a way to get that sounding gritty, dark, deep, gorgeous work. And you can hear there's lots of cry in his voice, where his voice is turning and turning, and you just get that slight kind of creak on the top. Absolutely gorgeous stuff. You can really, really hear that switch from that pressed nasal sound into that lovely light aspirate sound. They're both really nice to listen to, but it's just, there's such a difference in quality. And some people really struggle to get out of that one place, especially when their voice is very unique like his is. You would almost expect him to keep in that raspy nasal place, but he's not afraid to lift off and give a little bit more vulnerability to his voice. It's really, really nice. He's very, very clever with the way that his lip shape works as well. So he kind of purses forward quite a lot to get this rounder kind of sound. I don't know if you can hear that out of the way I'm speaking. But then he'll shift into like a smile, a spread lip, which gives you a much, much sharper kind of back place sound. So he's kind of doing this, if you like. There's a real shift in intention. He's just really, really good. Really good. Nice. Now you can see he's really having to exert himself to get into these louder kind of places. There's a lot of anchoring going on. That is where the muscle groups in your body will come to support the muscle groups in your larynx, which is also in your body, but you know what I mean. There's a little bit of tension creeping in. You can kind of hear some constriction. That's where your false vocal folds will come in. Almost like it feels like there's an outside force that's attacking it. So it will close down to protect your airways. That just happens from exerting too much tension into your voice. He did avoid it kind of happening, but you could kind of hear he was just creeping into that place. Whereas if he'd pushed any harder, he probably would have just cut the sound out, because your false vocal folds, they don't understand that you're trying to sing something nice. They just kind of respond to stimuli. But because his voice is so rocky and raspy and gravelly, it almost lends itself to the performance in a way. If he was singing something super clean and that came in, you'd be like, oh, there's something wrong there. But because his voice is so gritty, you can kind of get away with just folding it into the performance as a whole. So yeah, good. He's got quite a lot of reverb on his voice there, or there's an echo. I heard it through my headphones, and I think that's why he's kind of taking one of his in-ears out. They kind of isolate the sound, so he'll only really be hearing what he wants to hear, and I assume his voice would be quite high up on that list. So if he's got the effects coming back through into his ears as well, that could actually throw him off with his timing and rhythm. I mean, it's not, but it could. So I think that's why he's kind of doing this. Also, you kind of get to feel the crowd a little bit more when you let them into the kind of ambient sound of the room into your ear. If you go back and listen to that, you hear a tiny little echo, like his voice has kind of just got a slight delay on it. But that's all kind of production kind of stuff. That was great. A lot of that growling there sounded almost like it was coming from a false vocal fold kind of place. That's not engaging them like the constriction. That's kind of letting them be loose and going, ah, and letting the air kind of run through them and make them flap about and create all of that extra texture. If you are adding that into kind of screams, then you get a really textured sound. It could be a little bit of arytenoid rattle as well. There's a lot of stuff when it comes to vocal texture that it's hard to pinpoint, but those would be my guesses, that it's a little bit of false vocal fold and a lot of arytenoid rattle. But absolutely amazing. And again, comes back to that vulnerable place at the very end. That is my favourite thing. If you have been around on this channel for a while, you'll know I love a small start, big middle, crescendo, 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 and then come straight back down at the end and just tail it off gorgeously and delicately. Excellent stuff. So hope you liked that reaction. If you did, please give it a like and a thumbs up down below. And if you want to see more from me, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and anytime I have new content, you will be the first to know. So I guess all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for joining me. And how are we going to buy this one? I have no idea. So thank you so much for joining me. And if you liked that video, then go and subscribe. Was that the riff? I'm not even sure. Anyway, bye. I love you. Bye.